Fancy Truth, how are you today?
I am very well, and you, Paul?
I am
How's your
awesome,
day
thank
been?
you. It's not been too bad. First of all, your name is Imran, but Fancy Truth, how did that name come about? Your name is, but
Yeah.
Fancy Truth, how did that come about?
Well, fancy truth. I just thought about what could be a nice artist name, and if you've listened to any of my music or seen any of the videos that I put out, all of my lyrics are based on either my experiences or those close to me. So everything is real. Okay. So that's where the truth comes into it.
Mm.
And the fancy part is just how I tell the story. So I won't just take people from A to B, I will take them on the scenic route. So you're telling a story in a very elaborate, fancy way in
Aha.
terms of the wordplay, the lyrics, the flow, just and the delivery as well.
Okay, I mean that makes total sense. But like, if you go back to where you first started, when you first got into music, or at least the idea of making music, was it always rapping?
Well, I don't really sing unless I'm in the shower or something. But yeah, I think rapping just spoke to me a lot more in
Okay.
terms of because I mean like in terms of the rhymes and the poetry behind it and everything like that. So growing up, I actually listened to a lot of boy bands like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all of that. But then I also listened to the other side of it, like Run DMC, Jay Z, Michael Jackson, huge Michael Jackson fan. So just it's like all of these influences that kind of molded me into where I am now, I guess.
And where did the love for music start? I mean, how young were you?
I'd say very young. I think if I had to think back, probably I don't know, maybe 3 4 years old, I guess. My older brother was a big, like a huge Michael Jackson fan, and and he was a DJ, and he still DJs now in the club scene as well. So I've always been surrounded by music, not necessarily the people playing instruments, but in terms of new music coming out, my brother coming home with crates of vinyl and just listening to it in the background. Yeah.
Showing your age there for a second.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, these days, who has crates of vinyl anymore? It's more like megabytes of data. That's just kind of how things are nowadays. It's
Hey, I
crazy.
think I think I think turntables are making a comeback. I mean, you go to any store now, you can get like a USB turntable. You can either plug in a
Yes,
USB or you can put in
yes.
an old record. So it's becoming fashionable, or it is again.
All right, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about you and your music. Bubble Boy was your debut single, your big breakout. But how did that all come about?
I don't know, that's actually a funny story. So if we backtrack to early March in 2020, I was driving home from work, so sitting in traffic, peak hour on the highway, and I heard a song on the radio by Wax Beach and Kerwin. I think
Mm,
that song is called By My Side.
yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, so if you're familiar with that, there's a part in the song where there's a build up and a beat just drops, and it's just like an instrumental part that plays in the song. So I'm sitting in traffic, it's been a long day, and I just loved that part of the song, and it made me want to just start rapping and freestyling. And then by the time I had gotten home, I'd written most of a verse. And then I think I just polished that up a bit. I think the next day or two, I put a video on Instagram of myself rapping what I wrote over their song. And I tagged Wax Beach, I tagged Kerwin, and both artists actually liked my Instagram post. I
Cool.
think it was strange. Like yeah, at the time I had about like 30 followers. Like I didn't really use my music page. I knew I wanted to use it one day, but
Yes.
I wasn't sure when exactly. And then lockdown kind of happened, I think end of March. And then I just, it was such a big adjustment for everybody. You're going from almost complete freedom to stay indoors, level 5, can't go outside unless it's for like the essentials,
Yeah, I remember that. Oh,
yeah, it was so crazy. And I remember, like, thing is, because everyone is at home, you're looking on your phone most of the time, and everyone was connected to their phones, and you're just seeing how your friends and your family and complete strangers are handling this situation. And it wasn't just in South Africa, it was like all over the world.
It was global.
Yeah. And I just found myself, rediscovering my creative side because I was working from home. And I had a lot more time because I'm not sitting in traffic and doing all these things. And everything is just, you wake up, clean up, and then get to work. So yeah, I started writing and putting out these little rap videos as a way of documenting the crazy lockdown situation. And then it got to a point where I think after my third video, I kind of realized that, writing things is getting a lot easier for me because, my mind is like fully focused on it now. And I thought, if I'm ever going to release music and, give the music industry a real shot.
Now's the time.
If not, when the world is ending, when am I actually going to get the chance? That was my whole mindset.
Yeah.
And then, I just popped Wax Speech an email. I said, look, you guys, I love your music. And how does one go about, working with you, either collaborating on a song or just hiring you to produce a song for me? Because I'd listened to the other songs as well. They have another song with, I think, Josh Vunty and Chad Simon as well. And I thought, why not just approach these guys? And then, back and forth via email, we came to an agreement, and then fast forward a few months, Bubble Boy was created.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Where does your influence come from? Is it mostly from lockdown, or is it also from sort of if you just hear a cool song and you get a good idea in your mind that you have some lyrics to?
No, I don't think it's restricted to lockdown. I just think in general, I mean, how do I explain this? So, so here we go. I released the song. Now what happens? I just have to keep the momentum going, and also keep my brain fresh and my mind focused on writing things. Because otherwise, if you don't, like, it's like with anything you do, if you don't practice it for a long time, things could dry up and you get very rusty.
Absolutely.
So it's a bit of that. And also it's a bit, for me, music's very therapeutic. Because I mean, for anyone, if you've been at home for a year and a half or been surviving a pandemic for a year and a half, it's bound to have played some sort of or had some sort of impact on your mental state.
Absolutely.
Especially. So music is my release from that, I guess.
No, for sure. And what happened to the Chronicles? Because you did the Chronicles up to the release of Bubble Boy, and then there's no more Chronicles. Is there going to be another one?
Yes. So, I mean, I was thinking about rebooting that, right? So when I started, when the Chronicles, the Fancy Truth Chronicles, as we called it, it was mainly just to, start like a buzz and create awareness and let people know that this is what's happening, this is the journey. And eventually everything leads to the release of the song, and maybe a week or two after the song. Because at that point, I think everyone who I had on my Instagram, they were all either family or friends. So, there were only a few of them, but they're like the loyal fan base in a sense that they actually care about you. So they were quite invested. So I think it was nice to let everybody, like them included, know the whole process behind it and what we're leading up to. Because then, in that sense, you're telling a story, but you are grabbing people in, and they will also feel involved because they know how things started and where we're going, and what they can do to help and support and stuff like that.
I liked the idea from an artist's point of view. If when you release a song and you know, all the admin and stuff that goes with it that you were talking about, and you know, and then you're sitting and waiting for radio stations to play it. I only know it from the other side of the fence, you know.
Yeah, you guys still have it easy. Like you don't understand. I have so much more respect for musicians now, right? Not that I didn't have respect before, but you kind of understand why only a handful of people actually make it, because we have so many talented people in South Africa or in the world. And if you need to be talented, like a talented musician, and you need to be a promoter and an admin person and do all of these things yourself, you're going to find it very, very difficult, you know? So it just made me understand the whole process, and I think I just need to keep going and be ready for the next track, I guess.
Well, I must say, my year working as a music compiler also kind of gave me a great insight into musicians, but also the sheer volume of music that comes to radio stations every single week is, I mean, it's crazy. It makes you honestly, you need somebody just to handle the emails and somebody else to do the other side of the job. It's absolutely insane. So from a radio station's point of view, it's narrowing all that down. But I also understand, you know, artists, they look to you, they just need a break sometimes, you know. And it's very cool when you are able to actually give somebody that break. It's something that I've kind of grown really passionate about over the last few years.
No, for sure. And I mean, I can imagine from your side, like just the volume of emails, like you said. And also it's like someone can send you an MP3 attachment in an email, but maybe they're missing like all of the other information. Now, do you really have time to respond to everybody and to let them know how to submit and what to do?
Do you know what? I'm actually really glad you brought that up. I'll tell you why. We get a lot of submissions like that. And let me just put this out there so that any musicians who are watching this can actually, if you're submitting something for the very first time, here's a key piece of advice. Firstly, send a link to a WAV file so that we've got, so we can get a high quality version of it. Send all the information on the artist, so we absolutely are in no doubt about who the artist is and where the artist came from. And if this is their first, second, third single, perhaps it's new to our audience, we would never know. Or any radio station. Make sure you've got all the relevant details, the artist, song title, composer, publisher, the codes, anything else that you need, that then send that through. And then obviously contact details for people to get back to you. There's nothing worse, to be honest with you, than somebody just sending through an MP3. In some case, you can see it was a WhatsApp file and a WhatsApp audio file that has just been sent through. And there's no way of tracing the artist. I mean, we cannot play that. So that is a great little piece of advice. And I just wanted to actually find an excuse somewhere to actually drop that in. And thank you for providing me with that segue.
No. Thank you so much for that bit of info. You would have been very useful like a few months ago for me. But yeah, like a lot of artists don't understand like what else needs to go into. You can make an amazing song, but in terms of getting it out there, I think that is where the tricky part comes into it. Yeah, so I think they will definitely appreciate, you know, that little bit of information.
And also try and reach out and try and actually form a relationship. And you know, a relationship with the music compilers of different radio stations. It's really a good idea, because the next time you send through a song, they know who you are, and you know, and they're more likely to, you know, to give your song more consideration, and perhaps it might not get lost in the pile. In other words. All right, let's get back to you because we digress a little bit. But Deja Vu, I mean, you were listening quite obviously to a song from Olivia Rodrigo, which I absolutely love, by the way. I love that song. Yeah. And we're back in lockdown and you were listening to that, and it kind of, I guess inspired you to write something about lockdown and use that song as a motivation.
No, for sure, for sure. Because I mean, I think it just felt like we did a complete 360 and we were back at the beginning again. So, I mean, I love the original song. I thought, everything about the song is amazing.
So good.
And I was not going to try to sing it or anything like that. So I thought, let me just step back from that. And also there's like a drum beat in the song that is really like, it's really like infectious. It makes you want to, for me personally, it made me want to write something for it.
Cool.
And then I actually thought of the music video before I even wrote the song. I thought of how I could do the music video, and then I wrote the song so that it would match up with what I wanted to do visually.
Absolutely. And in terms of content, lyrical content, I mean, it's not just about lockdown, obviously. It's also about a mental state, really. And the mental state you find yourself in during lockdown as well.
No, of course, of course. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think recently, maybe the last few months, I think if you've like I said, if you've been indoors and you've been through this pandemic, all the ups and downs, it's gotten to the best of us, and just generally for me, I mean, usually I'm a pretty laid back and chilled person. I don't take things very, very seriously in terms of I don't let the stress affect me externally. But I have never been as stressed as I've been these past few months, eh? And you top that off with, you're logging onto Facebook and you hear about this person getting COVID and this person no longer with us because of COVID. It's like it breaks your heart because we're all in this together, and you can see your friends and your family members, everyone, even random people that you have on social media, you can see everyone is struggling with their own battles. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that was a major factor in me wanting to or needing to write this Deja Vu verse. Yeah.
And the fear that you plan things ahead of time, and you just actually don't know. It's a horrible thing to say, but you don't know who's still going to be around, because people that were around a year ago that you knew now aren't. And it's just a difficult thing to wrap one's head around, because I know a lot of people are struggling with that. There's that aspect. There's the aspect of businesses going under and people's livelihoods being majorly affected. It's a crazy time right now, and mental health is something that perhaps is not spoken about, or possibly even hasn't been in the spotlight as much as it has been now.
No, for sure, for sure. I'm on the same page with you there. I mean, yeah, it's isn't it? It all feels a bit surreal if you think about it. I mean, 2020 was last year. At the beginning of last year, we were fine, right? We heard about COVID. Oh, but it's overseas. It's not going to come here. And a lady
the
in my
world
office,
was normal.
Well, yeah.
Well, it was normal to us. It was our normal at the time.
And my colleague was stocking up on vitamin C and all these things. She was bulk buying. I'm like, but I think we'll be okay here. Yeah. Little did I know what would happen a month later. But yeah, it's been crazy, especially on the job front. I mean, I remember driving to Sea Point or Camps Bay just to go for a drive, not really get out of the car. We kind of just we spent the day driving past our favorite restaurants that we used to go to see if they're still open.
Yeah.
Now that's a sad reality. You think about all the jobs that have been lost, the livelihoods, and where everybody else is now. It's been a bit bleak.
And I guess that was where Bubble Boy also played a role, because you did mention that it was kind of about it's kind of really about somebody who's kind of found someone but now is in lockdown by themselves type of thing and can't be with anybody else. You just gotta, especially those people who live alone, it must be really, really tough. I'm one of those people now, but I mean, it is kind of really difficult, when you've got nobody else around you at all.
No, no, for sure, for sure. I mean, Bubble Boy. I mean, are you aware of the old movie with Jake Gyllenhaal? It's a very
Which
old
one?
movie called Bubble
Cool bubble.
Bubble Boy.
Yes, yes, where the boy lives in a bubble because of medically he can't be around any germs or anything.
Yes,
Yes.
so it was inspired by that, and also, I mean, I was chatting to my wife one morning in the kitchen, and I was like, I'm so glad we live together and we're married and stuff,
Mm,
because I can't imagine like what it must be like if you just started dating someone and then it's lockdown and you can't see them at all and you're just like on your phone all the time. It would be difficult. But then you relate that to not just like relationships in terms of dating, but also your family members. You can't see them as
mm,
much. Your friends, you can't see them. Your colleagues at work have become your friends. So
yeah.
so everyone was in their own bubble, and in order to actually venture to see all these loved ones of yours, you would need to be in a physical bubble as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. So who's singing the other lyrics in Deja Vu there?
Oh, that's my wife. I kind of just roped her in because I told her, either I'm going to sing it and I'm going to make people like make their ears bleed, or I can get you to sing it. And she's like, if I can write something for her to sing, then we can try it out. And then we actually did a few takes of her singing it like Olivia Rodrigo in that
Yes.
higher pitch, and it sounded nice. But then we decided to take it to change it completely so that it's a different tone. Maybe it would be more fitting with the actual message in the song, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I sanitized. I did what I had to do. Why are we going through this again? In other words.
Exactly.
That's very, very cool. All right. So you have Bubble Boy, you have Deja Vu. Deja Vu is more of a parody song. I mean,
Yeah.
so it was more of a fun song, but with a serious side to it. But in terms of actually releasing a single, have you got any plans, anything in the pipeline for your follow-up?
To be honest with you, I mean, I would love to write another song and do another official release, but
Mm,
in terms of the time that goes into it and also the money, like if you want to work with really good producers, you have to pay them, you have to do like a photo shoot to put press photos out if you want to do it properly and actually maybe get somewhere. So in terms of all of that, I wouldn't say taking a step back, but I'm more focused on my career and just like surviving this pandemic in
mm.
terms of work wise for the moment. Yeah.
And
So
in
in
terms
terms of,
of, yeah,
so I mean, in terms of releasing a new single very, very soon, I don't think so, but definitely in the future, I would love to release multiple singles, maybe even an EP or an album at some point. Yes.
very cool. And in terms of the 9 to 5, what is it?
Well, at the start of lockdown, I was working for a production company doing TV commercials, photo shoots. I was in their casting department. So we
Okay.
would do all of the castings in our studio, brief out to clients overseas, locally. So I was like a big part of the company. And then
Cool.
lockdown happened, and then they had to let some people go.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was so weird. So like, I mean, I was in that job for the past 4 years.
Mm.
So it was like a big part of my life in terms of work. And, job hunting in general sucks, I think, for everyone. But job hunting during a pandemic is like a new level of difficulty.
For sure.
So
Of
yeah,
suckiness.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I'm still working in the TV and film industry, but on a
Mm.
freelance basis. So I mean, I've had a few jobs here and there, but I
Mm.
mean, it hasn't been very, very consistent because of how dependent the film industry is on international clients coming in, especially.
And also
So
actually, just having the ability to, go out on location to film because of the fact that you're stuck in a lockdown sometimes, you know. It must be really, really difficult. And then, of course, you add the travel ban to all of it, and it just exacerbates the whole thing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of stop and start up again and everything like that. So I was not going to bank on the film industry. So to do that, I mean, even before lockdown, my wife and I, we were looking at teaching overseas, because we've been to Asia and we love the continent. We've been to quite a few countries there. So we were already preparing for that before lockdown. And now, as you can see by the whiteboard behind me, you know, I'm fully teaching online English now to students from around the world. Yeah, so film industry and online teacher at the moment.
All right, so 2021, the remainder of 2021, there's not much left, actually, quite weirdly enough. What have you got in the pipeline, and going into 2022, let's hope it's better than the last 2 years. What have you got planned?
Okay, so wow, it's actually August in like a day. Well, it's August like now, pretty much.
Sunday.
Depending on when you watch this video, it might already be August.
It might be August.
Yeah, welcome. We are here. So going forward, I mean, I have a few bookings for August, like film industry stuff. I actually heard from a colleague of mine, like, of a really nice job starting in the first week of August. So that I'm looking forward to that. And I think, yeah, I'm winging it as we go. I mean, as I said in my very long and emotional and vulnerable caption in the Deja Vu video, which I kind of wrote at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't never ever write a post at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's all I say, because sometimes
it's like drunk texting.
Definitely. Yeah, it's just, so everything that I was feeling at that time came out in that text. And it's just, I didn't think I would be rebooting or resetting my career at like the age that I'm at now. And while it is terrifying, because now you need to find out what else you can do and what else you're good at and all these things, it's also exciting because there are no rules, there are no boxes. You know, you don't have to do this. You can do this if you've always wanted to do it. So, you know, chase those dreams if you have them, I guess. I mean, and that's what I'm kind of planning to do. And new music must be on the cards. I need to actually just like push myself to release more and more music, because I kind of feel like I have my foot in the door now. And you know, I've made a lot of connections with people over the years through my film industry work. So, I mean, in 2010, I was working on the show for SABC, and it was called Sports Night with Cabello from TKZ.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, so I mean, that show was like a talk show format, and we met the biggest names in sport and music. So it's so strange to see like people that I booked to be guests on the show in 2010, who were maybe they were big, but they were still starting out, are like thriving and flourishing now. And that's like so good to see.
But it also gives you hope.
It does. So 2032, I'm coming for you.
Well, hopefully it doesn't take 10 years.
No, it won't. I'm sure it won't. But yeah, I mean, like, either way, for me, I think music is just for me, it's about expressing myself and just making music that people can enjoy and relate to, you know. So if I'm reaching 10 people or 10,000 people, you know, as long as I'm reaching someone who's enjoying it and relating to it on some level, then I think I'm happy. Hey?
Absolutely. So if people want to follow you, social media, do you want to just drop those handles quickly?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram at Fancy Truth Music. I'm on Facebook at Fancy Truth Music. You can follow my YouTube page, which is Fancy Truth. I'm hoping to post some more Fancy Truth Chronicles. I think I need to do it properly now, Paul, because I've gotten so much better at video editing, right?
Yes.
I mean, compared to where I started. So I'm going to really like run with that and maybe try to make it an actual show. and I'm on TikTok, but I only have one post, and that's Fancy Truth.
Okay. I must admit, I'm on TikTok and I haven't got any posts. So hey, you're one ahead of me.
Thank you.
So the video editing thing, that's what you've learned in lockdown. Is there any other skills that you've developed in lockdown?
I started baking. I've made scones a few times. One time, the first time I made it, it was amazing. Second time, not so amazing. So I think I need to practice that. But yeah, video editing has been a big part of the lockdown, just in terms of creating digital content. And if I look at where I was when I picked it up to where I am now, it's like a massive difference. I
must say, I've also kind of worked on that as well, video editing over the course of the lockdown period as well. I mean, it's so good. Just check this out.
What? How people, like, really? How did you do that?
I've also been working on my magic tricks as well, but hey. Oh man, listen, Fancy Truth, it's been fun, man. It's been fun.
Thanks so much, Paul. It's been nice chatting face to face. But yes,
Absolutely.
It's very nice to meet you. I hope to meet you in the real world one day as well.
Yeah, and maybe one day when we're all back in studio. I mean, I'm still doing my shows from my studio at home. Well, it's kind of just a bedroom, but I'm going to turn it into a studio. And that's how I'm doing my shows at the moment. When we're back in the proper studio, invite you along. And once we are able to actually all gather in the studio, then we can have guests again, and we should get you in.
Oh, cool. That'll be amazing. Okay, so I'm going to push to make another song, and Brilliant. I'm going to make sure that it is radio friendly and is catchy and is amazing.
Fantastic. Good luck, man. Good luck.